The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
On today's episode of Locked On Canucks, we'll be asking the question, who would you rather have babysit your children, Elias Pettersson and Thatcher Demko?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into the show, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. And we're not here without you tuning in, but we're also not here without those sponsors, baby. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. We all know that the best player on the Vancouver Canucks right now, maybe even the best player in Canucks history, is Quinn Hughes. But the two most important guys for the Vancouver Canucks next season, you can make an argument for a few, but it likely comes down to Thatcher Demko and Elias Pettersson. The Canucks need both of these guys next season, but the question we want to ask today, who has the better chance of stepping up for your Vancouver Canucks? So let's look at the journeys, but more importantly, the roads ahead for Thatcher Demko and Elias Pettersson and decide who's going to have the better season for the Vancouver Canucks next year. Before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host. He's about to go to Vegas, baby. See some rippers? Kyle?
What's
going on, buddy?
Is that a hot dog?
It's it's something like that.
It's a hot dog. Wow, that's crazy. No, because I've been to Vegas. I don't know if I've had is a ripper like one of those like big drinks, like the Slurpee cup, so like the big with like 6 ounces of liquor in there. I don't know. We'll figure it out, man. Vegas. I always say this, man. When you go to Vegas, you got to take it one day at a time. And I'm not gonna front. I hope my girlfriend's not watching this. I'm actually a little scared. And you know what? Normally, when guys go to Vegas and their girlfriends hear something like that, like, why are you scared of going to Vegas? It's kind of scaring me. No, it's literally because I'm actually fearful of hangovers more so than anything in life. Anyways, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, let's do this. Demko versus Pettersson. We used to do this with Hughes and Pettersson, right? Like, who's more important? And nothing against Quinn Hughes, but he's not part of this conversation because I feel as if we all know what he's going to bring to the table. Like, there's a certainty to, his deliverance and how upper echelon it will be. So we got to do this. And that's, again, put Demko and Pettersson up against each other and ask ourselves, well, a couple questions, okay? Who has a better chance of stepping up? And, if they both do, let's say they both do, they reach peak powers within the fine details of it, who's more important to the team?
Yeah, and it's a fascinating debate, man. And I'm curious to see that where you're going to lean with this. And I think the argument for Thatcher Demko is, this Canucks team, the backbone of this team is defense and goaltending. And we saw that Kevin Lankinen can be good for this team, but he's not a Vezina caliber goaltender. And that's the level that Thatcher Demko can get to for the Vancouver Canucks. And we talked about it, man. If this team is average offensively, which honestly does require at least somewhat of a Elias Pettersson bounce back, it requires Thatcher Demko to be the best version of himself. And in terms of who I believe in more to step up next season, man, oh man, here's the argument, right? It's Demko and his physical status, right? Can he recover from this multitude of injuries he'd had? Can he recover from the popliteas, the back, the hip issues? For Demko, it's physical. For Elias Pettersson, it's mental. And
it's physical too. See, Trevor, there you go, man. Trevor, I don't know what you have against Swedish people. Maybe I should read a history book and say, like, maybe back in 1746, the great Vikings of Sweden were going against the great Vikings of Ireland, and something happened, and that's why you just keep on hating on Elias Pettersson and ignoring his pepalitis. No, what did he have? The tendonitis, whatever. He was going through it too. They both had knee injuries, Trevor. Okay. And here you are. Injuries caused him to play one player, bro. They're both Canucks, Trevor. They're both Canucks.
Demko's injuries limited him to 18 games last season, right? We still saw Pettersson in action for the majority of the season, and Pettersson came into camp saying, he was healthy, right? And maybe he learned from being too honest at, the end of season media availability in 2024. But, maybe it's crazy of me, but, I have a bit more confidence in Thatcher Demko because I think he's such a nerd about his body. We've heard the reports about how this guy, he's so dedicated to his craft, sometimes maybe overworked himself. I think Thatcher Demko has learned how to treat his body properly. And of course, injuries are going to happen. But I do have pretty high confidence in Demko getting past it and getting back to the goaltender that he once was, especially with Old, able to spot him the starts. So to be honest, Kyle, where we sit right now, I have more confidence that Thatcher Demko stepping up for the Canucks next season than I do Elias Pettersson. And not to say Elias Pettersson can't bounce back. I do believe, again, Pettersson with a whole offseason looking in the mirror and saying, what the F happened to me last year? Being motivated, coming back, doing the right things. I do have confidence that he can come back, but when it's the mental hurdle you got to get over, that is just such a hard thing to quantify. Where I think with Thatcher Demko, again, a nerd of the game, and a freak in terms of taking care of his body, I do have more confidence that Thatcher Demko stepping up next season for your Vancouver Canucks than I do Elias Pettersson.
Yeah, and the biggest reason why you have that confidence, Trevor, because I'm the same way. I'm more confident in Demko than I am Pettersson. And the biggest reason I say that is because both these players have been through a lot of BS over the last couple years, but only one to the media. And I don't want to hear it. Oh, it's not important how a player connects to the media or the media. No, like how he represents himself to the fan base does matter, because at the end of the day, me and Trevor are just fans, and we said this with Pettersson too back in December when he walked out of an interview. It's like, dude, don't wear it. Don't show us that you're going through Mission Impossible right now. I know he's a human being, but I'm just saying, don't do that, because you want to instill confidence in your team in that dressing room, but also the fan base. And with Demko, he's always been hurt, but look at how he talks behind a microphone. Like, he's so certain in himself that he's going to bounce back from this, and he doesn't look worried at all. He doesn't. And again, at his best, and this is why I think we can, put him over Pettersson, even when it comes to the importance debate, is like, at his best, he's so talented. Elias Pettersson is so talented. Demko is so talented too. And only one of them, verbally at least, is confident. Is confident. Doesn't let the noise get to him. And I don't know, before he got hurt against Toronto, the guy was looking like Mr. Vezina again. He just so damn good again, so damn confident. And yeah, I'm not surprised by your answer, and that would be my advice to Pettersson come September, man. Like, maybe you had a great summer and whatnot, but once you put the jersey back on and you play in the preseason, you have a training camp. Who knows? Who knows what you're gonna have, right? He might seem a little rusty, and he's just gonna have to figure that out himself, get to the top of his game by himself without letting the fans know that he's still fighting it. Because it's so obvious that he is, based on how he represented himself last year. There's a lot of people not confident in his abilities.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe we're doubting him too much at the same time, right? I would say that most of this fan base probably is doubting Elias Pettersson too much, right? In Perfetti, we trust in the comments says, I don't know if I can say the real name, Petey injured his ego. And look, we've heard Pettersson talk about it, right? When he signed that contract, started to put more pressure on himself. That got him off of his game. And again, can he tune out the pressure? And can he tune out the pressure here in Vancouver? Because it's a hockey man market, man. He's got to deal with guys like, the big baddie in McIntyre.
Like Trevor Beggs. Like, you'd have to maybe deal with Trevor Beggs, bro. Like, you've been in the room a couple times, and you've been on this podcast saying, like, he's on his phone a lot. Maybe you heard that episode, you took it personal, man. Maybe he hates you too. And maybe we're hating on Elias Pettersson too much in this debate. Like, who's better? Who's going to step up, Demko or him? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe we're not, again, appreciating Pettersson's ability, or again, just looking at the Demko situation, right? Considering that, Demko, according to this comment, will have to change his play style, and doing the splits and being that athletic, may not happen. And this commenter is concerned. And that comment kind of makes sense, Papa Tias, Papa Litis, it could be fully injured, but based on how many more times he got hurt this season coming off of that, I wonder if A, his ego's going to allow him to change the way he plays, and B, if he does change the way he plays because his body needs him to do that, if he can still deliver like magnificent results.
Yeah, I'll say this before we get to break, Kyle, and I don't think Demko, when you play goal, it's not a stylistic thing to do diving splits, right? That is a completely reactionary motion. Like, no goaltender's out there saying, oh, I'm going to do a diving splits on this play, right? That's not how you play the position. And I think another thing that gives me confidence in Demko bouncing back is, Kyle, I mentioned off the top, look at the backbone of this team. It's the defense. Theoretically, if this defense is playing to its potential, they should be one of the best defensive units in the NHL. It's going to ease the burden on Thatcher Demko to not have to make miraculous saves, to not have to play hero on a nightly basis. He just has to go in there, be himself, and if the structure sticks and this defense plays the way they should, that gives even more credence to the argument that Thatcher Demko is going to be the guy that steps up for the Vancouver Canucks next season. And again, we hope both these guys step up, but who has the better chance of stepping up? As long as Demko's training properly and putting the injury troubles behind him, you never know what happens, but doing everything you can to put it behind him, playing behind this defense, things are shaping up for this to be a pretty monster season for Thatcher Demko, especially with a guy like Kevin Lankinen who can spot him 30 starts.
And on the other end of the spectrum, not only is there a lot of pressure externally surrounding Elias Pettersson based on what he's done over the last 120 games, but the fact that internally Philip Heedle's your number 2 center. Again, internally in that room, there's pressure amongst that leadership group towards Elias Pettersson because these guys all want to win, and they need Elias Pettersson back so they can do so for real. Like internally, the guys like Hughes, Miller, DeBrusk, Besser, Demko, especially with Demko, considering how much work he's put in to like give his career another chance and, he earned himself a new contract. That's a conversation for another day. But again, internally, those guys, not as viciously as us, are still going to want Pettersson to like step the puck up for real.
100%. The pressure is on. The pressure is really on both these guys, but it is cranked up on Pettersson. And you could argue he's in a worse position to succeed compared to Thatcher Demko. But on the other side, I do want to start giving a few more flowers to Elias Pettersson, start to talk about why we do truly believe in him to step up and be better next season. I also want to talk about how the contracts play into things for both Elias Pettersson and Thatcher Demko. And I also want to talk about Las Vegas, baby. Maybe I'll share a Vegas story on the side. That's all coming up here on Locked On Canucks. Before we get back to the show, we got to shout out our friends over at Game Time. And Kyle, I don't know what you're up to in Vegas, but I hear there's lots of shows down there, man. You're going to go see any concerts, any DJs, any burlesque shows?
I'm going to the Gentleman's Club. That's a show. That's athleticism. Yeah,
I've heard that before, man. I remember I got this education back in the day. I went on a date with a cheerleader, and she actually took me to a BC Lions game. My beloved BC Lions. You can find their tickets on Game Time. And she gave me this big talk about how the BC Lions cheerleaders weren't cheerleaders. They were just dancers. Because the cheerleaders do like the flips and the crazy athletic
stuff. Trevor's gonna get canceled. Just finish the ad read, Trevor. That's crazy to me.
I'm just sharing a story, man. I'm just sharing a story from my younger days before I had any hair on my balls. Anyways, with Game Time, again, Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier than ever. And not only that, if you're like Kyle Bhawan and you fly down to Las Vegas and you don't know what to do, you can find last-minute tickets on Game Time. You can actually save up to 60% off with killer last-minute deals on Game Time. There's no place better to go get those deals, baby. So take the guesswork of buying tickets with Game Time. Go down the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Canucks, Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan, and you, via the comments, again, here on Locked On Canucks. Rollins saying the pressure's on Elias Pettersson, especially with Marner added to the centers in our division. I think Marner's a winger, right? Actually, he plays.
Marner can play center. He's played a chunk of center throughout his time in Toronto, but I can almost guarantee he's going to play wing with Vegas unless there's injury. Because look, Vegas arguably has the best center depth in the league, right? They got Jack Eichel, Thomas Hertl, and William Karlsson down the middle. So, again, more likely than not, maybe on the penalty kill, he might play some center, take some draws, but for the most part, Marner's going to be a winger.
And positionally, Jason aside, like it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, there's more pressure on him because Marner's in the division, like one of the best two-way forwards in hockey. So, and yeah, I know he doesn't bring it in the playoffs, but the Canucks are step one is trying to be consistent in the regular season. And to some extent, Mitch Marner does get in the way. And, prior to him leaving Toronto, I wonder if there was a more scrutinized player in the league. And if there was it Elias Pettersson?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Marner probably takes the cake for being the most scrutinized player in hockey. That's a good question. I mean, last season it probably was Elias Pettersson, right? Mm-hmm. He arguably had the most disappointing season in the NHL. I mean, it's just crazy looking at his last 3 seasons, right? 102 points in 23, 89 points in 24, and then 45 points last year. Like, how the hell does that happen, man? So
confidence, Trevor. Confidence. It's everything, man. The mojo and all that stuff. And again, we're gonna spend some time being positive now about Elias Pettersson. And we've been positive for the summer because we got those high hopes and whatnot, and we know how important he is. And at the end of the day, I'm over it. Last year was last year, and we still have this guy on our team. He's a Canuck pretty much for life, and we've seen it in the past. So just get back to your game. Do that work in the summer. Boom, bam. But Trevor, it's crazy. I want to preface to Elias Pettersson. He's not listening to this, but he needs to know that the BS isn't going to stop from everyone that follows this team or anyone that talks about this team all the way up until like the middle of October or the end of October if he's able to find his game. And I say that only because September's a month away. Training camp is 45 days away, 40 days away, whatever the math is. And he needs to prepare. He needs to just handle it 1,000 times better because it's going to get so loud. So it's going to, it's not that I'm trying to manifest this for the guy, but to me, it's going to be some like documentary like energy surrounding this guy in September. And it's going to be the most watched preseason in Canucks history. The most focused on that guy. Like it's something. Because it's about how it looks. It's not just about the stats. It's not about the stats. It's about how it looks. And it's looked so pathetic for like 100+ games. Like outside of a couple spurts, it's just looked like he's an average player. And then when he picks up points, yeah, he's just doing the bare minimum or, I don't know, just being a guy, getting 20 minutes, playing with Quinn Hughes. Like, you're going to pick up some points. But it's been so long since we've seen this guy be dominant.
Remember we entered this segment talking about how I was going to get Petey some flowers?
Do it.
No, sometimes I do wonder if like the noise and him being able to handle the market is overblown. And yeah, of course, the on-ice product hasn't been great, right? He had a couple streaks last season, one in November, one in March before his season ended. And mostly it was terrible, right?
You cannot say wasn't overblown though, bro. This guy literally walked away from an interview. You're getting paid $11.6 million, bro. Like he walked away from an interview.
Last year was a hellacious season. I mean, we don't know everything that went on behind the scenes, but injuries of course were at fault. But Petey clearly wasn't himself, right? And maybe it was injuries at the end of 23-24, like you mentioned. Obviously, there was more of a mental aspect. And again, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. But in terms of Pettersson not being able to handle the pressure in this market, he's been in this market for 7 years. And he handled it for most of his time in this market, aside from, a season and change. So call it, again, almost 6 of his 7 NHL seasons in Vancouver. He performed like one of the best players at the NHL. He dealt with the pressure. He was able to handle it and flourish. And now with this opportunity right now, he has a chance to be the effing dude in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Right? He has a chance to write, one of the craziest 30 for 30 redemption stories, comeback player of the year type
Lean into it.
for Vancouver Canucks.
Brace it.
Honestly, man, like he's got to deal with the media and all that stuff, but he's also, got a team around him, a group of guys that have been there a long time who can help out with that. It doesn't have to be Pettersson. He's got to be involved to an extent, but he doesn't have to be the guy like Quinn Hughes answering the questions on a daily basis. At some point, you do get used to it, right? You do get a little desensitized to having to talk to the media every day. It doesn't become as scary, as big of a deal as it is, right? And honestly, if things start rolling for PD right off the bat, the questions are going to be there. The media, everyone talks about the big bad media. The media are fans. The Canucks media are fans. They want to see Elias Pettersson succeed. They're not necessarily there to roast him if things aren't going his way. I just think that Elias Pettersson, this talk about, him just not being able to play in Vancouver and the pressure being too high. He's been in this market for a long time, and the pressure for the most part hasn't been an issue.
Yeah, but the pressure has A, never been this high, and B, he's always had either Miller or Horvat or both. Like, this is different. This time around, it's like, I don't believe this was the plan all along, but it would be beautifully ironic, and I hope he does it. And you know what? I believe it. There's an 89% chance that he is going to do it. He's going to embrace all this pressure. It's going to lead to a better legacy. He's a hockey nerd. He knows, like, yo, this is cool. This is a great opportunity. I can be the, just a hero out here because of where the cards lie. But again, like this time the pressure is different because it's Hedel and Bluger behind him and Atu Ratu. Like we can talk about all this stuff that's invisible in the narratives and again, the conversations. Like, the reality is down the middle, you're the only guy.
Yeah, unless you get a breakup from one of those other players, right? And there's pressure on those guys too, right? There's pressure specifically on Hedel and Atu Ratu, right? And again, Atu Ratu played at a 40-point pace last year in limited minutes, and that's nothing to sneeze at, considering that he's young and on the rise. And Filip Hedel's never been in the role he's been in, right? There's a ton of risk, but if you want to go glass half full, there is a lot of upside for that group as well. And, it is all about starting the season right. And if the season can get off on the right foot, even if the wins aren't necessarily there, if those guys are playing well and they're creating opportunities, the bounces will come. So, again, there is still opportunity there for Elias Pettersson. Kyle, maybe as we wrap on the other side, I do want to maybe get to a couple comments. Talk about Vegas quickly. Maybe we'll do a little Beggsy versus Bhawan because I want to ask one more question as we wrap up here on Locked On Canucks.
People, we back doing this, talking about your Canucks. One love to you and you and you and you. Do us all a favor, share the episode, hit the like button. Leave us a positive review because, I don't know, my mom probably reads those, right? And just support the show, man, because happy wives equal happy lives, and there's two of us here. And I don't know, one day I just want to, tell my girl, like, yo, we got I'm taking you out for dinner tonight because the people wanted our love to succeed. See what I did there, Trevor? Reverse psychology. Manipulation. I'm pretty sure that was manipulating the fans. I'm sorry. But yeah, my love is in your hands.
Thanks, man. And what a thing to say.
I didn't say that to you. I said that to the fans, not you.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Well, then I have every more right to hit this button. Beggsy versus Bhawan. Okay, Kyle, we spent this episode talking about who has the better chance of stepping up for the Vancouver Canucks this season. But I'm just going to ask the question straight up. Who has the better season next year for your Vancouver Canucks? Is it Thatcher Demko or Elias Pettersson?
It's Thatcher Demko. We're more confident in him, man. I think you're going to say the same thing. We just said that, we're more confident in him. I feel like his leadership towards people in that room, but again, his leadership, because there is a version of a player's leadership towards the fan base and the connection there. Like it's been rock steady. This guy's been stoic. This guy's also made it so confidently clear that he just wants to be in Vancouver. Like, he wants to be here. And Pettersson signed his name on the dotted line too, right? Like, he extended here for 8 years. He needs to smoke. He wants to be here too. But just the energy that Demko has been given throughout all of this, to me, has made it's crazy because he hasn't played a lot of games, and fans have some not really the right, but we're all emotional beings, like, quote unquote, the right to be frustrated with Demko because he's always hurt, But I feel like he's a darling to the fan base now. Like, people, again, they want Pettersson to succeed so badly as well, but they really want Demko to be healthy and for him to be the man and have his dreams come true, because that guy's a competitive guy, and he's, imagine getting nominated for the Vezina and like, you've been with this organization for so long and you can't even like help them out in a playoff run. And you could see this guy like do everything to try to come back and play injured. And he couldn't do so because the Canucks couldn't extend their series with Edmonton, due in large part, due in large part to Elias Pettersson doing nothing in the playoffs. But yeah, all in all, I think I want Demko to succeed more than Pettersson. That sounds crazy. I want them to succeed at the same rate, but based on, again, my feelings right now, it's like, yo, Demko, I want what's best for you, and I actually am confident that he's going to do it.
Yeah, like I said, there's I agree. I think Demko has the better chance of stepping up, but I'm going to go on a limb, man. Let's make a little bet on this. I'm going to go on a limb and say Elias Pettersson has the better season for your Vancouver Canucks, man. We talked about it this week. This is the alien. This guy was doing things that he looked like he could be the best player in franchise history at one point in his career. And I mentioned it just a few minutes ago. Most of the 6 of 7 seasons he's had in Vancouver, he's been performing at an elite level, okay? And, Kyle, there's one stat to compare this. So I'm going to go to a limb right now. It's Beggsy versus Bhawan. Elias Pettersson, my guy for next season. I say he has the better season than Thatcher Demko. You can rank this off of an advanced stat calls war. So I don't know, man. If we're betting something, man, what do you want to bet?
Well, first of all, how do you bet that a forward is going to have a better season than a goalie? Like,
yeah, the one stat you can use, and it's an advanced stat, is called wins above replacement, and it can basically compare good goaltenders versus Pettersson. So I'm going to say Pettersson has more wins above replacement than Thatcher Demko next season.
That's the most nerdish shit you've ever said to me, and you think I'm going to fall for that trap? Come on, man. I know you're a financial advisor and all these terms and services. Come on, man. We gotta work on this contract before we make this bet. For real. I'll keep it in mind though. We got some time. September's coming up. October. We'll run back this conversation to some extent, and we'll work out the contract and the terms of this bet. For Pettersson though, I will say this again. I know I said there's a 90% chance he's back. He's back to being elite. Like, I want this guy to succeed. But again, just maybe it's too much to say for a 32-year-old. Like, you can't really cheer for one player more than the other because we're all on the team, and I'm a team guy. It doesn't really matter like that. But again, there's just this emotional appreciation for Thatcher Demko more so than Pettersson, based on, again, the body language, Trevor. I'm a big body language guy, I guess. For real. As a leader in a room, you gotta be even when the sky is falling, you gotta be one of the guys, especially if you're getting paid of like a huge fraction of the salary cap. You gotta be one of the guys that makes it look like nothing is getting to you. Especially when you're like 2 points out of a playoff spot and 4 points out. You know what I'm saying, Trevor?
Yeah, I completely agree. The body language matters. And with Elias Pettersson, I think, again, we were all waiting for him to get on a roll last season. It looked like he was getting on one before he got injured in March. And yeah, man, maybe it's blind faith, but I've also just seen this guy play a lot of hockey in this market and look like one of the best damn players in the NHL. And the Canucks need Pettersson next season. I think for a guy to get to that level, you got to be motivated. And I think there's motivation there. I don't really think it's all about the money for Elias Pettersson. As much as people want to rip on him for that and the contract, as Stephen Wong saying in the comments, like, it was fair value at the time. Like, up until the start of 22-23 till the day he signed the extension, the only players with more 5-on-5 points than him, McKinnon, McDavid, Pastrnak, Kucherov, right? Like, he was one of the best damn players in hockey. So I'm betting you 12 tall boy yellow dogs on this, man. And the next season, who has a better season? Pettersson versus Demko. I'm Team Pettersson. Kyle's Team Demko.
There you go, man. There you go. I guess so. 12 yellow dogs. You just signed me up for a bet when I just said I wanted an extension on that contract. You're not going to weasel me, agent. Come on, man. I've read a couple business books. I listened to Diary of CEO. Okay, Trevor? Come on, man. I don't like your tactics, man. Anyways, comments. I was going to pick a dark one. Cotton Hill, man. Use something else. You see that comment? I was going to read it just because. Yeah, but let's
okay,
not,
well, now you've teased it too much. I'll read it. Cotton Hill saying,
hey, you can't do it.
If he has another down year, they should mutually terminate his deal and sign him for less. Yeah, that's
Trevor,
not happening.
you're just an asshole, man. You manifesting all this dark energy, and honestly, I'm so
No,
excited.
you mentioned it, man. What are you
I'm so
talking
excited
about?
to go to Vegas. I'm so excited to go to Vegas just to get away with you, get away from you for a couple of days, because the real Sin City is doing this podcast with you. It seems like just manifest in dark energy and look at yourself in the mirror, man. Drink some water. Technically speaking, we talked about Demko's change in athleticism, or at least the look will, be different because of how he has to adjust to dealing with the Pistachios. And, maybe he tried last year and there's different things that got hurt. Like, I don't know if you believe what Talkett was saying when this guy would got hurt when he fell on his knee or bended his whatever. And they're like, oh, it's a back injury. All in all, though, maybe, maybe he does have to play differently to avoid always, increasing your chances at re-aggravating the Pistachios. All in all, though, he's got to change. And what's been obvious about Pettersson's change is his explosiveness, is his skating.
Mm-hmm.
And not too long ago on the show, you would bring up how, on one end, it's since 2022, 2023, only 5 players had more 5-on-5 points up until his extension. But it's dude, look at the start of 2023, 2024, and look at the end of this past season, and look at another fancy stat, and that's how slow this guy got. He fell off a cliff, and that doesn't have a lot to do with padding stats and looking good. It's he just completely looks different because his injury or lack of confidence has gotten in the way. And until he finds that explosiveness again, he's never being the alien again.
Yeah, no, he's his skill came from, again, playing off of his instincts, being one of the best skaters in the NHL and having a great shot, right?
Yeah.
But those things they're still all within him. He's just got to work his ass off the season and get back to it. If he's healthy, which he says he is, so
any reports, Trevor,
become one of the best again.
Any photos in the group chat? Does Pettersson the strongest dude in Sweden? Is he looking explosive? I know I've seen some videos of this guy taking slap shots. But how's the speed looking? Any talks about that?
Well, when you go to Vegas, maybe I'll have to go to Sweden and check it out, man.
There you go. Okay.
But for now, it's just belief in the blue-green, belief in Pettersson, because we've seen it happen. The guy's making the big bucks. It's time to get your ass in gear and train. And like I said, Spacewell saying we will see 94 overall Pettersson again. Let's end with one more positive comment. Jack saying they're both going to have good seasons, man. And that's the kind of hippie optimism that we love here on Locked On Canucks, man. Let's go. Yeah, let us know in the comments or wherever you interact who's going to have the better season next year, Thatcher, Demko, or Elias Pettersson. And who do you think has a better chance of stepping up for the Vancouver Canucks? Kyle stepping out to Las Vegas. Man, oh man, good luck in the Sin City, buddy. I'll have to save my Vegas story for another day, man. It might not be family friendly. Hey, in Perfetti, we trust us saying in the comments, man. Can't say his name, but I can say Harry Balls. But hey, family friendly program, man. So we gotta be careful what we say.
Prick's a bad word.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, my bad.
Whoops.
Yeah, my bad. All right. Thatcher, Demko, Conn Smythe. Let's get out of here before we get canceled. All right. Sorry for saying the P word.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. your team every day.